Adventures with Superman and Supergirl and Jimmy and Lois. Season 3, Into the New World, Episode 1. And it's the Icon back with some DC TV for you before we get X-Men 97. Because I know everybody's excited about that X-Men 97. But before we get X-Men 97, we're getting My Adventures with Superman, and he's back. Now, I am going to say this, because before we get started, hit the notification bell, like or subscribe, check out my other videos. I forgot everything that happened like in season 2. A lot of this is a blur to me, and I'm gonna have to remember a lot of this as like as we go on. I do remember that Brainiac was her pseudo father. I do remember that. I thought that Supergirl and Jimmy were actually an item, but apparently they're not an item yet. But they both like each other. They're just not telling each other that they like each other, which is weird. I do like the new costumes. I like the new suit for Superman. I like the new suit for Kara. The thing with Kara's suit is, because people go back and forth like, oh, does Supergirl wear the pantsuit or does she wear the traditional skirt with the boots? They gave her a pantsuit that has the skirt, so they put both of them together. I do like the fact that she does have the hoodie on it, because the hoodie gives it an extra touch, and it just makes her look a little bit more badass. So now the episode actually starts with her putting her Brainiac daddy to bed, because she's just like, look, I'm over this shit, you're done. And she wants to, I guess, put him in the Fortress of Solitude. I forget, was the Fortress of Solitude a thing in season 2? Because he has all those robots, like the Kalex robots, like robots. He has the robots. So I'm just like, but I don't remember the Fortress of Solitude being a thing in like in season 2. But apparently it's a thing. Before she puts her Brainiac daddy away for good, he tells her, he's just like, oh, he was like, Kal-El will turn his back on you because you're nothing and you don't know who you are. And then she just believes him, gets mad, and goes away. She goes into outer space, and then she's just like, who am I? And it was at that moment where I thought this was going to be the arc that they were going to go through throughout the entire episode, of her just feeling some kind of way because she doesn't know who she is as a person, as a human being. But no, we moved on from that one real quickly because once she went up into outer space and was just like, who am I? The very next scene, she was at the Kent farm having a Halloween party. Jimmy's there, Lois is there, everybody's there. And then Lois's daddy showed up, and then he asked her, he was just like, hey, he said, I work for the DOD now. He's like, I work for the government. I don't work for the army anymore. But he said that there was apparently some secret facility that was doing Superman experimentations, and for some reason he wants Lois and the gang to go check this out. Like, instead of like his organization actually going in there themselves, he wants like Superman and Lois to check it out. So, and then he ends up bringing Lois and Jimmy and Kara with her. So the whole gang goes down to where this place is. And then when they go there, like, they're walking around, they're investigating. Somehow somebody got their hands on Superman DNA, and they used that DNA to make clones. There were vials of like clones all over the place, and we never saw a Superboy clone. We didn't see a bizarre. See, there was one particular clone where it was kind of like a caveman clone, where a scientist raised him as a boy. He raised him from a boy to a man. He didn't really speak all that well. He kind of sounded Neanderthalish. The scientist that raised him eventually ended up dying, and then the Superman clone that he, raised, like, buried him, like, in good faith. So you could tell the clone has a good heart. But the problem is he was just trapped in this facility, along with some weird alien dog looking thing that shoots laser that shoots freeze breath. So they come across this alien. They think he's the enemy. He runs from them, he hides from them. There's robots all over the place that's basically trying to hunt these clones down. And then after that, like, there's this whole big fight scene. They fight the robots because the robots were actually trying to take the Superman clone. They were trying to hurt the Superman clone. So Superman, Kara, and the gang, they beat up the robots. They destroy the robots. And then after Superman destroyed the robots, he kind of passed out, because in order for him to destroy the robots, like, one of the robots exploded, and then when it exploded, Clark passed out due to the explosion, and then the clone picked up Clark and took him out of the building before the building itself came crumbling down. So now it's assumed that all the clones that are in this facility, besides the one clone that rescued Clark, they're all dead, or so we thought. And then when we get outside, they're just like, hey, Clark, are you okay? Clark's like, yeah, he's fine. And they're just like, oh, what's going on here? And then it turns to, like, Lex Luthor, because we see Lex Luthor. The robots that were hunting those clones were from Lex Luthor. Slade is still in the mix, and then Slade was talking to Lex, and then he was just like, look, he's like, I was trying to get my hands on the clones. It didn't work. We had to blow up the facility. And then he's like, so what are we going to do now? And he goes, well, we still got the body of Hank Henshaw. And then that's when Slade said, but Hank Henshaw needs machines in order for him to survive, in order for him to live. And then Lex was like, exactly. So now he's going to turn him into Cyborg Superman. The clone is still out there. Superboy is supposed to be a thing. I don't know if we're gonna get a Bizarro like at some point. Kara actually felt, bad for herself because when she watched video footage of how the doctor raised this clone and taught him like the proper things, all she could think of was like, damn, this clone was raised better than I was because my daddy wasn't shit. So I said, so she feels some kind of way about that, and said, but now Lex is about to create Cyborg Superman. I feel like we jumped the gun for a lot of this shit way too soon, but that was how the episode ended, and thank you for tuning in. So yeah, so pretty much when, I guess we're going to find out when the lab was destroyed, the Superboy clone, the Bizarro clone, like maybe some other clones like escaped. Like, and see, and here's my whole thing. If we're talking about, if we have like some random Neanderthal Superman clone, if we're about to get Cyborg Superman, if there's going to be a Superboy in the mix and any other various clones or whatever the case may be that's in that facility or that escaped that facility, I can only assume there's a Power Girl in there somewhere, because you can't really have, because first of all, how'd you get Superman DNA? And then if you got Superman DNA, there's no reason why you couldn't get Kara DNA. So if you got like, there was over like 200 vials of clones in jars and shit. You can't tell me not one of those clones didn't have a Power Girl clone in it. So more on that to come. But yeah, I mean, that was my thoughts on that. And I'm just surprised as far as like doing the Superboy, doing like the Cyborg Superman. We did all that. We're doing all this pretty quickly. I'm actually surprised of how quick all this stuff is coming along. But they even did that in season 1. There are a lot of storylines they touched base on. I was like, oh, we're doing this already. Even with like Lois finding out his secret identity, like it usually takes a little longer. She found out like the second day. So, but as it was decent. Like it was a decent episode. So check out my other reviews because I got a lot of stuff up on my channel. I still got to do my footage for Brooklyn Con. I'm going to post that up pretty soon. Like I said, I'm thinking about doing Spider-Man Noir or whatever for all you Marvel fans. I'm thinking about doing it. Like I said, but check out my other YouTube channel, Bright Eyes Media. I got a lot of good fashion shows that are up on there right now as well. So that was it, guys. So thanks for tuning in. Up, and away as always. Until next time, take care. And we're out this. Bye!